Hello, everyone. Welcome to a live special Black Cats TV season review. Season review. It's a good title for it. I think that's what it is. We will be welcoming in. I've lost. I've gone. Can we restart? No,
No,
we
we
live.
can't. Not this time. This time, no.
We will be welcoming in. Oh my God!
Welcoming a guest.
In. Yes, that's
in.
the one.
We will have a guest.
Yes, we'll have a guest coming on shortly. This is a great start. Conrad can host. No. Good evening, people in the chat. Coffee Goblin's in the house, and he's got a new profile picture. I'm loving it. It's looks like Elmo there on the shirt. He says, good evening. Paul Armstrong's in there, says, hi, Mike and Conrad. And Matthew Cutter says, evening, lads. Where do we start?
Yeah.
Indeed. Where do we start?
That's the first question from you, and we're going to hopefully have a fair few in there. Then, where do I think we have to start with the run of form? I guess.
No, we don't, because I've got a running order.
Good. That was the proper answer there, Matthew. There you
go. The first thing we do have to start with is the last game as a mini game review before we get our guest on. You watched the game, Conrad?
I did, yeah, and I had your commentary on and I watched it, but a bit like yourself, I found it. Sorry, I'm also just trying to send our link to our guest here. A bit like yourself, it was quite tiresome to watch.
I was yawning after 25 minutes.
Not because of the game itself. Well, probably because of the game itself. Because this is the 5th game in a row we've had to watch this. It's like every game has been exactly the same. I couldn't pick out a moment from any of these 5 games that could tell you the difference between all of them. And it just felt like we've been sleepwalking for 5 games and we continue to do so.
Do you not think we started a bit better? Do you not think we put a bit more pressure on? I feel like the goal was ridiculously bad defending / unlucky. But
it was just, I don't know, because even in other games when we've started well, we tend to concede first. So I was a bit like, I'm not going to say anything at the moment. I'm just going to keep going, Great, they can have a run about for 5 minutes, but if you don't keep it tight at the back, there you go. Right, okay, great. I didn't even finish my sentence. Keep it tight at the back, and then they already got one in, and our 2 midfielders wandered out to the side, and so did 09, and we had no one, and it was the most easy Frank Lampard-esque goal you'll see, and we're going to soon be seeing a lot more of Frank Lampard in the coming weeks.
Yeah, unfortunately, it's just. It feels like we had the more shots, we had the more possession, we had better passing, and again, it just comes to nothing. Hang on, before I carry on, I have a frozen. Is he there? Let's welcome the great Mr. Michael Bowers. How you doing, Michael?
Am I frozen or am I moving?
You're moving. It's a bit ventriloquist at first, but you're now in sync.
I might have been frozen before because I was trying to check to make sure the battery was okay. So I'm using my old phone to do this so I can keep up with your new one. But no, I'm not doing all right. Sorry, doing all right if we don't mention. Yeah, I've got that wrong, haven't I?
Let's not talk about Sunderland. Is that what you're going to say?
Sunderland, and I'm doing okay.
Welcome to the podcast. Let's not talk about Sunderland.
This is what 5 defeats on spin does to you.
Yeah, I mean, did you watch the game? Were you at the game today, Michael?
Yes to both questions.
And let's have your roundup.
That's fair. That's fair.
Yeah. It's weird because on my own video I said that I don't think we deserve to lose, but not because we were particularly good, because I felt QPR had one good chance and then just did nothing for the rest of it. And that's kind of how it felt to me. But, I mean, I'm looking at it and I'm thinking, how many clear-cut efforts did we make? I think there might have been 1 or 2 half-decent ones across the game, but I'm struggling to think of many that we really, really created off our own back, if that makes sense. So, I mean, it might be that the game's too raw in some senses, but yeah, it's if we put it this way, if we play like we have done the last few games, then congratulations, Coventry, in advance on getting to the final.
Yeah. Was I'll stick with you a second, Michael. Was that our best lineup today? That's the lineup I just put on screen for a couple of seconds. Was that our best lineup? Is that what the playoffs are going to look like, you think?
And barring Mundell getting fit and being ready to start on Friday, I would imagine so. I can't see any reason. There's only two that I can maybe think of. Maybe Ballard and Mundell potentially for one of FM09 or for maybe Rigg if you put Lefay in the centre. But yeah, I would say at least about 9 out of that 11 is probably what I'd expect to start at Coventry. Yeah.
Yeah. Conrad, similar sort of thing. Did you think that was a strong team when you saw that announced for the game today?
Yeah, there was a little bit of worry, though. I know a few people in the comments were saying it as well about, oh, please don't let anyone get injured or anything here. Like, that's the last thing we need at the moment. And we were always the ones talking about, well, maybe he's tinkering with the lineup, just trying to sort of rest players and get them in. And now you're going, on the game before the playoffs, now you throw the first teamers in it. Like, why? Like, I'm guessing fitness is mainly the reason. But, I mean, I was glad that Ballard came on. And when Ballard came on, I actually thought we were a better team, really, because he gave us some sort of urgency. I mean, I always say that when we were watching 09 and Meppen, it's just like watching them do 30 passes between themselves before they then involve the rest of the team. Whereas when Ballard gets on the ball, he strides out from defence trying to move us forward. So I really want to see Ballard play, and I shouldn't be saying that to try and move Sunderland forward. We've got forward players for that. Yet he's not the centre-back that's just going to go, oh, I'll pass it to you. Oh, cheers for that. I'll pass it to you now. Right. And it's just that for 5-10 minutes every game.
But what do you think about the substitution? Ballard coming on, I liked as well. But he took Meppen off. But 09 was on a yellow card. Good decision, bad decision? Was
it Leeds where we played Meppen and Ballard together? Like one of the only times they've played as a partnership this season, I want to say. I think 09 might have played as well, but I seem to remember Ballard was playing in that game, and did Meppen play as well?
Maybe.
I'm thinking maybe Norwich at home before Christmas. I don't know why that game stands out to me, but there's been a couple of games where they've played together alongside each other, but we haven't seen much of it, have we?
No, exactly. And for me, I know 09's he's done nothing wrong. Absolutely been one of our best performers all season, consistency-wise anyway, but surely Meppen and Ballard is our two best centre-backs.
It's just the fact he had a yellow card and you're just before the playoffs on a game that technically doesn't matter. Why wouldn't you take the yellow cards off and not risk that?
I think they just trusted him not to do anything daft. Do you know what I mean?
It's Luke 09. It's Luke 09 you're talking about. Michael, what do you think of the substitutions from Labrie? It seems to be getting a bit erratic recently. Do you think it was the right decisions today, or?
If you bear with me, I'll have a look at the subs. So I think he made 3 subs, didn't he? Ballard, Watson, and Isidore.
Yeah. When Watson and Isidore came on, it looked like quite an attacking move because Watson came on, but it pushed Lafay into the centre. We ended up with 2 in the centre with Job and Lafay, and then we had 2 up front with Mayenda and Isidore. Mayenda wasn't shoehorned off to the side. Roberts was still on. So I thought that showed a bit of attacking intent. Whether it works or not.
I thought it would have done as well. I mean, we obviously had nothing to lose at that point, did we? So, apart from maybe players getting injured, no one knows.
Or the game.
or the game.
Yeah.
Yeah, we were already losing anyway.
We were already losing.
It was 0-0 from when they came on. But, God, that's bad. But, yeah... I don't know. I think one of the things about Labrie is a weird one because I'm really in 2 minds with him. On the one hand, I'm not going to argue that we finished 4th comfortably out of the non-parachute teams, and I know some fans don't like to hear that, but the fact of the matter is the 3 above us have £100 million or so more than us. It's just a blatant, or maybe not that much in particular, but they have a lot more money than us. So I can't argue with the job he's done of how comfortably we finished 4th, but at the same time, his substitutions really doing, not necessarily today, but his reactiveness when it comes to changes, more so than anything else, is what I've really noticed this season with Labrie. And I'm also trying... So, yeah, I'm in a bit of a rock and hard place with him at the minute.
Because the last game is a good example because we're losing and his 2 subs were both defensive players in Samed and Brown coming on.
Which I suspected meant he felt that he was prioritising this game and then games coming up in the playoffs. That's kind of the way I interpreted it, but at the same time, you look at the subs, I mean, Ballard, I thought Ballard did all right. I thought he did pretty well when he came on, all things considered, even though that's clutching a low bar. I do appreciate that. I think
he was a threat up front, which beat everyone else on that pitch at that moment.
Well, you're not wrong, are you? then you look at Isidore. I think, do you know what it is? I think there's been a lot of revisionism around Isidore this season recently. I think a lot of people are making him out like he's, not a lot to be fair, that's harsh, but a number of people are starting to make out, oh, see, he's not actually that good a player, when I don't think that's the case. But even I admit, ever since Leeds away, he struggled massively. And I think it's one of those things that either he needs to pull his finger out a bit more, or I just don't know what the answer is to it, you know.
He showed a lot more strength in this game, Isidore. He stayed on his feet in moments he'd usually gone down, which I like to see.
Yeah, that is true. To be fair, he did. Because I think there is a threat there with Isidore and with Mayenda. But I think so. Isidore I thought did all right. I thought Watson did probably a 6 out of 10 job. He didn't really do that much, but he wasn't too bad for me either. So I don't know. But I mean, if you look at the starting 11, though, I mean, we were talking earlier about. I kind of got the impression, because the last 2 games we've gone pretty much full strength. Well, full strength, haven't we? Compared to what we've had available. But I kind of looked at last week, and although we were really poor, I tried to give the benefit of the doubt to the lads and go, well, I know this is going to sound so tin pot, but last week was Oxford's do or die game for survival. It was their last home game of the season, and as soon as you saw that Luton beat Coventry, typical it's happened now. So on, get in, Coventry are 6th, they're not going to go into 5th, and then look how that turned out. But I thought, well, Luton beat Coventry because then it meant Oxford were going to win, and I thought, yeah, we're going to get beat here. But I'm not being funny today. There was no excuses for that lineup for me. There was absolutely no excuses for me for that lineup not to go and beat a QPR team who have pretty much finishing 15th.
They have nothing to play for. Yeah,
they've got a head coach on gardening leave and they're on the beach. There was no excuse at home not to be getting a much better result than that. And I don't know if you wanted to come on to this, or I'm going to steal your thunder by mentioning this, but for me, I'm really wondering what's been the, not effort levels, but the levels of desire in comparison to a lot of this season in recent weeks. And I don't mean players don't try, players don't want it, but what I mean is players are playing at that level when they're capable of playing at that level, if that makes sense.
Definitely stepped down from the start of the season, that's for sure. Let's quickly go to the chat so we don't miss anyone out here. Stephen Martin says something has to change. We have been not very good all Christmas. Since Christmas. Bring Coventry on, says Coffee Goblin. Evening canny lads, says David Brown. Form goes out the window come the playoffs.
What a name that is, by the way. I absolutely want Coffee Goblin.
he's a regular in our lives. It's great. he's our Cammy in the lives who brings the scores from all around the grounds. He's great. We ended the game better, and he says hi, Bowers. These are Sizzle Watson's in there looking shocked. Probably because we're live and we're never live. I would play Isidore up front, Meander's 10 behind, Mundle on the right, Lafitte on the left. Just on that, Lafitte on the left. So when we first played him, we were playing him on the left, down to necessity, and he got some good assists and he made some good runs. And we kept saying we want to see him in the middle. His best position is in the middle. But we've seen him in the middle now, and I didn't think he did as well. Where would you be playing him?
Well, I think in the middle, he's been playing more as an 8, when I think in the middle, we want him as a 10 or just off the striker. Do you know what I mean? Sort of like really close to the striker, as pretty much as close as you can get to him, just to do little passes in behind for him, or feed off of any sort of little scrap balls he gets, and he can have a shot or feed it into one of the wingers coming inside. But we've been seeing him more in the centre as like Job's position, not Rig when Rig's up top with Isidore. So I think it's been not quite the through the middle we wanted, but I don't think he's also been the same Enzo before his hamstring injury that we've had back in the last couple of games. I don't know if that's out of us being very careful with him, because we're hoping that he's going to turn it on in these 2 games or 3 games potentially. I think it's a bit like any player this season. If you think to their good spell, and if they've had an injury, they've never quite come back the same so far. And I don't think Riggs one or Mundle's one or anything like that is out of, too early. I just think it's a bit.
At what point does Dan Neal's good spell start? I'm just asking for a friend.
Yeah, he has to get injured, and then he had a what do you call it? He had a
a good game
patch.
once upon a time.
He had a purple patch when he led us back to that win against Swansea. I do think without him on the pitch that day, we weren't going to beat Swansea, and he really did drive us on. And he had a good few games after that, and then he sort of
tanked again.
Resorted to type. Do you know what I mean? He's not terrible, but it's just I expect more of him. But I do think he's not a 6, and we're playing him as a 6.
Michael, it could be the last 2 games ever we see Lafay in a Sunderland shirt if it doesn't go our way. Hence the reason I said 2 games and not 3. Where would you be playing him?
I don't know. It's a funny one because we keep hearing that his best position's in the middle. And although he has not done as much as I'd like him to in the middle of the pitch when he's played there, he hasn't had much of a chance to play there because of facilitating whoever else and injuries and stuff. And you got to remember, like the game he started, was it Bristol City, I think, where he started in the middle, but then obviously that went out the window when Trey Hume got sent off.
That's true.
Which altered the rest of the game. So if I had to play him, it depends for me entirely if Mundell's fit or not. And I mean fit enough to start. If Mundell's fit enough to start at Coventry, which I wouldn't be so sure he would be, then put Mundell on the left and Lafay in the centre.
Can you possibly start Mundell at Coventry when he didn't have game time? He wasn't even on the bench today.
That's what I mean. He hasn't had game time for about a month now, has he?
Exactly.
No. So yeah, it's
he didn't even make the bench today, did he?
No, he wasn't on the bench today.
He did, no. I suspect we're saving him for the playoffs, but I could be wrong.
Thomas said, "Did you notice Lafay wasn't wearing the badge today? Can't understand that. I just saw that picture on Twitter of that. He's got the Sunderland shirt on, but no badge."
Are they sewn on our one? Are they not? Are they just transferred on? Maybe it came off.
I don't know. I mean, I wouldn't read too much into it. Maybe it was chafing his nipple.
Maybe he did have it on at first, but then he ripped the badge off when he found out we were playing Coventry.
Yeah. Point.
There's loads of badges just in the stadium at the moment getting swept up.
What, we've got Coventry? Oh, for goodness sake,
man. Right. Quick question. Conrad, are you happy with our final finishing position? Based on the start of the season, ignoring our form of the last 5 games, are you happy with the final finishing position?
I mean, yeah, compared to last season, compared to the 2 seasons we've been back in the Championship, this is our best one, really. And I know this is probably going to not come out the way we want to. We're still finding something to moan about, even though this is technically our best one since we've been back here. But it's if you'd have taken this season and had the ending that we've had at the start and the start that we had at the end,
it'd be the best season ever.
You would have been absolutely like, oh my
God. It'd look back
we've...
more fondly, wouldn't it?
Yeah, this is amazing. It's very sour at the moment because of how, I keep using sleepwalking. I'm trying to just how awful it's been for the last ones. And I don't know if it's because, like Bauer said before, they've been on the beach a bit of like, job done, we're in. Like, let's not exert our energy trying to chase the top 2 because they're a bit away at that time anyway. Let's just, 5 out of 10 it for the rest of the games, and we'll focus on whoever we get in the playoffs. And then lo and behold, you've been given a team that you've not beaten at home since 2007, and you've not beaten away since 1985. And you're a bit like, right. So you've got to wake up for these games, and it's not like we've got a longer turnaround. It's Friday, lads.
To put you in perspective, I was 1 year old.
Yeah. I wasn't even alive. To put it in another perspective, when you beat him in 2007...
Is that Conrad admitting he's the problem, and that since he's been alive, we haven't beaten Coventry away?
Yes. That's what I took from it. That's exactly what I took from it.
It also carried on before I was born. It was fine before. But if to put it in another perspective, is in 2007 we won 2-0 at home. Goals from Dwight York, who was playing in central midfield, and Carlos Edwards.
Great, get him back on loan.
Yeah. Free transfers at the moment.
Michael, happy with the final finishing position? Former side.
Yeah.
Could we expect more with Leeds and Burnley above us, really?
I think when you look at the fact they're both on 100 points, probably not. Like, I think that would have been it's essentially, because I thought the top 2 would be, there you go. I still love that bloody name. But the Coffee Gobbler makes a great point. Like, what was it, top between 100 points, 100 points, 90 points. And I thought this season was going to be weaker in terms of points tally because I thought last season quality-wise was stronger, which is weird because this season they're on more points, which doesn't quite make sense to me. But yeah, I mean, if you're looking at, look, I'm disappointed we didn't get top two as much as anybody did. And I think that we ultimately finished, 24 points behind second when we were in the top two race pretty much until the end of February. And then it was at that point, for me, it was when we lost at home to Hull. I know we'd lost away at Leeds and we had 8 points then, but at that point, Sheffield United had to play Leeds. And I thought, right, if we beat Hull and Leeds beat Sheffield United, then we've got a chance. But once we lost to Hull, I was like, yeah, that's done. We're not getting automatics. But if you look at it, I always feel like last season to me, it's gonna sound really derogatory towards Lebris, and it's not meant this way, but last season for me, as crap as it was, sorry for the swearing, as rubbish as it was, the last 6 months practically, pretty much ever since the turn of last year, for me, 16th was a false position for the squad we had. We should never have finished as low as what we ended up doing. I'm not saying we should have finished playoffs, and being honest, if we finished in the playoffs with Leeds and Southampton in there, I would have been staggered if we'd gone up, to be honest. So I think for me, this season, obviously all we had to do was finish 15th, didn't we, to be an improvement. But so it wasn't exactly a high bar, but I always felt like this squad we had, okay, obviously we had lost Jack Clark, we signed Methven, we signed Isidore, we signed Lefay, whatever. But like, for me, we were always capable of finishing in the top 6. But at the same time, you look at how comfortably we finished 10 points ahead of 7th. 7 points ahead of 5th, but obviously, like, it's because we've ended up losing the last 5 that the gap's closed as much as it has. So, yeah, I don't think we can realistically complain too much with it. And you got to bear in mind, and again, I know it sounds like an excuse, but considering the money the teams above us have had from being in the Premier League, which is a reason why we need to get to the Premier League, really, I'm not going to complain too much, really, with the final league position. If you take, obviously, as you said, and Conrad's right. I think if you swap the form, if you had the start of the season now in terms of form, and you had the start, we have the start now that if we have the last 5 games, we lost the first 5 games of the season, I think everyone would combust and go into meltdown. But either way, the point is, if you swap them around, it would be looked back at much more fondly. Either way, though, for me, how I feel about this season massively depends on the few games coming up.
Can I just say, Mike, I know we were talking about the Premier League money that you came down with. I didn't realise, and it's just made me a little bit happier, that someone else who came down with loads of money has also just been relegated to League One straight away. They've done the consecutive relegations, a bit like we did a few years back.
Team to do it now.
Yeah, exactly. And I'm really glad they're gone. And if anything, I'd like us to try and sign Adebayo for next season. I think he'd fit the way we play in the middle. But that's just one that also had that money available and clearly misused it or didn't use it or whatever they were doing.
Absolutely.
And they've completely shit the bed and gone through. But whereas, like you say, with the other ones, like Burnley and Sheffield United came down last season, so they're fresh on it, and Leeds with the season before that, so that they're all still up there. And then apart from that, you've had Coventry, Bristol, Blackburn, Millwall, West Brom and Borough, all teams that have been challenging the playoffs over the last few seasons anyway. So they're all still about there. So we've really done well to force ourselves away from the rest of the playoff lot and to be in the conversation for 7 months of the season with the likes of the Premier League money teams, really. When you look at it that way, we've done really well.
Let's go. Sorry, go on.
Go on, mate, go on.
No, go on.
No, I was going to say, because if you look at Leeds away, for example, I mean, look, for me, like, Leeds are, I know it doesn't show this, but like Leeds, the table doesn't show it this way, but for me, Leeds by some way, in terms of going forward, have been the best team in the division. The goals scored column shows that. But if you just look at when we played them away, you look at the subs that they made, and they had the power, the financial power to make those subs, to have those players in the first place. And if you look at it in that sense, I mean, Luton's obviously gone down, but they're the exception, not the rule. Likewise, Ipswich went up last year, but they're, again, the exception, not the rule. If you look at, so it's like Leeds, Burnley, Sheffield United, parachute payment teams. What was it last season? I think 2 of the 3 relegated sides went back up. The year before, Burnley and Sheffield United finished in the top 2. At that point, both were parachute payment teams. The year before, who won the promotion the year before? I think it was Fulham and Bournemouth. Again, parachute payment teams. I might be. I mean, Conrad's a smart guy. He'll be able to tell me if I'm talking out my backside there. But I'm pretty sure I'm correct on that.
I think you're right. It'd be like Bournemouth, Brentford's, and Fulham's and all that.
So I mean, it's getting to the point, and it is getting to the point now where it's quite broken, the system, where if you're let's be honest, awful or cack in the Premier League, you could come down to the Championship and absolutely blitz it, which is...
You were right, yeah. Fulham and Bournemouth, and then it was Forest who went up in the playoffs, a team that at the start of the season were threatened with relegation and then flew up at the end and finished 4th. So, and they beat Sheffield United, who'd just come down... the Sheffield United in the semi-final just come down the year before, so they did knock out a Premier League one and then beat Huddersfield in the final, a former Premier League team, but from a few seasons
great tactical decision to take that hit to then come back up higher, isn't it? It's a difficult decision to make.
Absolutely, yeah.
Let's go to the chat really quick before I lose track. Acacia says Arik, Conrad, and Bowers. What am I? Chopped liver? No high for Mike. Shocking.
All right.
Shocking. How have we not managed to score any goals this season? Excuse me. What happened to Wilson Isidore recently? He's not scored many since he's started.
No, he hasn't, has he?
Yeah.
Well, he was prime R9, and then he signed the contract, and he turned into Sunderland's Will Grigg. I'm
trying not to blame him. He is not getting
he's not the
service that he needs. He's a tall lad, but he's not one that you swing it in and he gets the header. He's no Ken Wynne-Jones or anything like that.
He can't head to save his life.
And when Lafayette...
He wants a ball to run in on, or he wants a quick finish.
It's like a sitter from 6 yards, and it's like, oh my god.
Yeah. Exactly.
He wants quick finishes, or he wants to run at a defender.
Exactly. Look, remember was it Hull? Meet, where he ran the length of the pitch, sort of thing. That's
Sheffield United at home, where he got the ball out and left and ran around the outside of the defender and put it in the far corner. He's had some. An Oxford ball dinked over the top that he ran onto and volleyed into the far corner. You know, he doesn't score.
Yeah.
Well, he does score tap-ins because Derby at home, someone ran down the side, crossed it, and he tapped it in on the line. It was a bit. He scored all kinds of goals apart from headers and penalties. But it's
let's not.
We don't expect him to head the ball or score from the penalty.
No. Well,
let's not say. Can we not say the P word, please? Because we don't want it to happen at any point.
Not that it
hang on,
matters,
but we don't want that.
Penalties. Penalties.
No.
Can you imagine?
Not that it matters too much, but I mean, when we look at the way we've been playing recently, I do feel a lot of our wingers and fullbacks are swinging balls just into the box because that's what they do. They're not actually aiming for anyone.
Oh, they're not looking. The amount of times, my ender was right next to the goal, and it would have been perfect. And the cross came in a foot behind him when nobody was today, and he just looked himself going.
No one's looking for anyone to head the ball. No one's looking for anyone running in late in the box. You're sitting there going, actually, with Roberts and Mundell and Lafay, if you will, Rigg on the edge, Job on the edge, even Neil on the edge, or Hume coming in, Sirkin as well. Just start laying it off for them to have pop shots from distance. Because I think, is it Alt Ending who's got a YouTube channel? We've stopped taking shots in the last 5-10 games.
I don't think we've stopped taking shots. We've just stopped getting that shot past the first man.
Well, there's that. But we've actually, even just like, when there's times when you go, oh, just hit it there. Why have you taken another touch or another pass? And we've stopped doing it.
I think Job was in, Isidore, was in, I was saying Job on the commentary because I got them mixed up, but Isidore was in the box today and he just didn't have any space to get a shot away. And he was like, shoot anywhere, just shoot, just try it. I think Mayenda's got that knack. He can turn and get a quick shot away. Every other player seems to need.
That's very true, Coffee Goblin.
Seems to need
an exceptional YouTuber. I'll end in.
Yeah.
So in the chat, do you believe the players really want promotion? Press interviews I've listened to make me think different. No passion, signs of frustration over the recent performances. That is frustrating. You don't know what's going on in the dressing room, though, I'd say.
I find it hard to believe that no one does, because for the very least for them, it's all extra money. It's probably bigger contract deals. Even if they get sold and moved on because they're not quite what we want, they still have a promotion that they can use as a negotiating tool. And they say, it just helps Sunderland get promoted, going back to another championship team and getting more money. No one would want to not get promoted. The only ones you could likely think of that don't is potentially if the owners thought it was too early for us, but that's more a January and a transfer window sort of thing when we're looking at, rather than now when they can affect the team. But aren't we into, they wanted 5 years to get to the Premier League and this is the end of year 3. So we are ahead of schedule, But I still don't think they'll be going, oh no, don't get promoted now. If we get it now and we end up getting relegated from the Premier League next season, they'll take that money and reinvest it and we'll be better for it. It would be a hard year to have. Like, look at Ipswich and Leicester. Pray to God we don't end up like Southampton. But just, it would be a hard year. Maybe we stay up though. You don't know. Maybe we do.
I'm just mentioning the chat. I am going to star the questions that come in, guys. So don't think I've missed you. And we'll go to some of the questions at the end rather than keep interrupting. And we'll get through the show first and then come to the question at the end. So stick around at the end and we will pick up your questions at the end. So playoffs, Coventry, 2 legs. 9th of May is away. 13th of May is at home. I mean, I can see the joy in both of your faces and the excitement about playing Coventry again with the records Conrad just stated. But
can I state them again just for the sake of it?
For the record, quickly.
We've not beaten them at home since 2007. And it's not that we haven't played them a lot within that time. We have played them a lot within that time. And we've not beaten them at Coventry, because they've played at several grounds, since 1985. And we've played them a lot within that time as well. It's not like, when you go, oh, it's Colchester and you've played them like once. It's like we've played them a lot.
So, I mean, with that in mind, and the form we've got against them, would you rather face them now over 2 legs, Michael, rather than see them in the final with 1 game? If we had to, I mean, obviously, first choice was we don't play Coventry.
Yeah, but if we have to play them in the playoffs, I assume is what you mean.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I'd rather personally we'd face them in the final. I think going away first, and then I'm in a really weird thing with this, because if you offered me a draw on Friday now, I'd take it. But at the same time, just because we've got the home leg second doesn't, I mean, we probably don't have an advantage anyway in a minute with our form. But a lot of people perceive to have, when you have the home leg second, as an advantage. But I would refer to when Middlesbrough played Coventry the year we played Luton, when we had Mowbray. That was the other semi-final. That finished 0-0 at the CBS. And then they went back to the Riverside and Coventry won 1-0. So just because you got the home leg second doesn't mean you're guaranteed to go through. Or doesn't mean that if you don't lose the away leg that you're definitely going to go through. So
Derby and Leeds a few years back, Leeds won 1-0 at Derby and Derby won 4-3.
Part of me wouldn't, because I don't want to rely on the home game. But
we've lost sound.
Exactly.
There you go.
I think your phone's just catching up with you.
Another example. One look at Sunderland, like the 2 year in the league in the dreaded League One years, the 3 of the 4 seasons we were in the playoffs. No. Well, what I was going to say was the 2 right. Put it this way, yeah, I know. You get PTSD thinking about that league. But if you look at the first, when we had Portsmouth and we had Sheffield Wednesday, both times we got to Wembley, we won. We had the home leg first and won it. Whereas the time when we had the home leg second was Lincoln, and we didn't even get. Me and Conrad will remember that we did a stream for it, and we didn't even make it to Wembley. Mind you, we probably would have lost to Blackpool anyway. So just.
Yeah, I know what you mean. It's that sort of.
The idea of it's there,
think
but
that,
I mean, like, yeah.
Go on, sorry. I can't tell because it sounded like there was a pause. I'm really sorry.
But I really wouldn't have wanted to have played them over 2 legs. So thanks very much, Preston North End, for not just rolling over for Bristol City.
Oh,
I don't know if you can hear us because you've just stopped talking or there, or
no, we were waiting for you to catch up. Your mouth was well ahead of your audio.
There we go. I've just texted him as well saying leave and rejoin. It might help. Just it was probably easier. Now, He's right, though, where obviously in League One, which we don't like to think about, played Portsmouth at home, won, and then we held on and got through in the away leg. We did the same with Sheffield Wednesday. The one that was different was Lincoln, where we played them away. We lost, and then we sort of drew at our one. Even if you think back to the championship ones that we've played, obviously we beat Sheffield United this way back in '98, where I think we lost down there and we beat them at ours. Crystal Palace, I remember that one where we lost away and then we he's lost at our zone penalties again, but there's that one where they were at home in the second leg. So there's no rhyme or Luton beat them at ours, lost at theirs. There's no reason to it. It can completely just depend on whose year it is.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So, Conrad, your answer to that question, would you prefer them in 2 legs than 1 game?
Probably, because it gives us a chance to, if like, I was probably giving him far too much credit a few weeks back when we got beat 3-0, and I was trying to think, is he sussing them out? And we'll find out on Friday if he was trying to suss them out or not. But
suss them out by losing 3-0.
Yeah, well, it was the fact he did nothing. And he just kept letting it happen. Didn't change it to sort of go damage limitations. He just was letting it happen, and it was more a bit like, yeah. And it was like, right,
I think we've just
they're really good.
We're not right. That we're finished fourth, right? But we're really not that good. So if you take these guys in the playoffs, then we'll go and spring a surprise on you.
Yeah.
I think you're all giving Labrie a lot of credit here. I like the guy, but you're giving him a lot of credit. I think we've just given him PTSD, and he's just sat on the sideline like this. I don't know what to do.
I mean, I'd rather play him in 2 games, because if something goes wrong, you've got a potential chance of putting it right. And even Sheffield Wednesday lost 4-0 to Peterborough and then still beat them. Was it 5-1 on the night and ended up getting promoted in the finals? So you've got a chance to put it right with 2. But I also don't want 2 embarrassment games of losing to Coventry twice. If we could avoid it, there'd be a bit of more fear of me going to Wembley. I say me, but Sunderland going to Wembley, thinking we're playing Coventry at Wembley and the records that we have. It was a bit like walking in when we were playing Charlton. You were a bit like, I'm excited to be here. We've had a bit of a dodgy end to the season. However, this is still Charlton, and there is history here, and we know what that history is that history is against us, and it proved to be yet again that history was against us. So I think I'd rather play them in 2. If like we said, if we have to choose, I'd rather play them twice. It gives you a chance to try and put something right if it does go wrong in the first game, or it gives you something to hold on to if it does go well in the first game.
Yeah, I just think we need to figure out how to score goals. Can we just sack our shooting coach, please?
It's Michael Proctor. He shouldn't be there. He didn't even score a goal himself.
Here's how I would do it, lads. Yeah. No, don't lie, Michael.
Yeah. Get to the edge of the box and don't have a shot.
Unless it's your own box.
I sent you a video earlier on, Mike, of a Bournemouth free kick from like 4 years ago when they got promoted. And I was just like, look how easy that was. It was
that
literally
the one when they passed to Kiefer Moore and Kiefer Moore scored?
And he was just stood on the 6-yard box on his own because he was off
to the side.
Why did we never
do that?
And it was just the simplest goal I've ever seen. And I was like, that's
what. Do you mean Kiefer Moore, who we should have signed and had a goal scorer?
Yeah, probably. But but we didn't. But it's just that thing of like, just try and do something clever, because every free kick we have goes wide or hits the wall. Try and just do something a bit clever.
9 corners in that first half, and Ballard wasn't on the pitch, and nobody else knows what to do.
When he was on the pitch, he had 2 headed chances at goal that the keeper had to save.
Yeah, exactly.
And the other one, Watson tripped him up when he had a free shot.
That was
just comical.
It was.
Why was Ballard our best player?
Do you know what was also quite amusing? You know, when we were talking about penalties earlier, before I forget this, it's funny how a lot of our, and I'm guilty of this, but when we were screaming penalty, I'm like, we've got more chance of scoring a corner than we do scoring a penalty. Exactly. So why not just take the corner?
You go penalty, actually,
no,
we're the only crowd.
Give a penalty. Actually, no, give us a free kick.
You're going to hear a massive roar in the games if they go to extra time. Going, not penalties.
No, I don't want penalties.
I don't want 5 penalties in a moment. I don't even want 1.
The only crowd that's giving a ref shit when there's a foul on the line, saying, "No, it's a free kick, ref. No, it's not a." It was outside.
Praying for added on time to just keep going, like more, please.
Our players will start, instead of diving into the box, they'll get fouled and fall backwards. I know I was outside.
You know,
anyway.
Like, you ever see those nice videos where like someone gets fouled, someone goes, "Ref, it's not." His leg will be hanging off, and he'll be like, "No, it's fine.
It's not a penalty."
It's like, wait, you don't want a penalty? No. We'll clap at them. I don't want them.
You can send him off still, but no penalty, please.
Yeah, just give the red card, but no penalty. It's fine.
If you give the penalty, Isidore's head will explode.
I mean, the one good thing is I don't have to watch us play Burnley.
We'll get you to question in a minute.
Yeah, I was going to say, I do not have to watch James Trafford and do penalties again. They're gone. That's fine.
Oh.
but I
top
couldn't
class,
handle watching
top class
James Trafford on
shithousery.
penalties again.
Yeah, top class shithousery. Look, we'll get to your question, Coffee Goblin. I've put it up 12 times, but because it's the next bit on the thing, is team selection. Your starting lineups for the playoffs. So I'll go to both of you on this. We'll come to you first, Michael, while your connection is sound. That was the reminder of today's. What would you change for Coventry, if anything?
It would depend on who's available. Are we working off the basis everyone's available as far as we know of?
Yeah, let's throw in Mundle because we've seen him training. Let's even throw in who else was training that we saw?
Huggins.
Huggins is there as an option as well. So who are you starting?
Messi and Ronaldo on either wing. Haaland up front. Yeah, that'd be nice, wouldn't it? Yeah, if I had to put me serious face on, right? Okay. I think you probably put Mundle on the left. I think we're missing that. You can just tell he's a natural sort of left winger, and I think we're missing it actually a lot. And I think that's probably limiting what we can do in terms of an attacking output. Because even if you look at, say, West Brom away before he went off, he didn't score, obviously, but you think he won the free kick. Obviously, got injured winning the free kick that Hume then scored. But he offered something direct. He offered some bit of pace about it. And I think that just makes defences sort of back off and treat a little bit more. So I'd say Mundle on the left. I would be tempted to I want to give Lafay a good run in the middle, just because I don't think we've really seen it yet. Mind you, to be honest, I've been a bit disappointed with Lafay so far. I would like to have seen a little bit more from him in terms of a goal output, but bearing in mind, to be fair to him, he's been injured for about 6 weeks. So, yeah, I'd say Lafay in the middle, put Rig on the bench, because I think Rig coming off the bench could actually be quite a handy weapon to have. Apart from that, I'd stick with my ender up front.
Yeah.
And then I'm thinking
Isidore off the bench as well, then. Yeah,
probably. Yeah, it would have to be. And then I would if I was going to go, obviously Patterson, I think the back five for me at the minute picks itself. But we'd have the back five that started today. So you had Hume, Mefamo 9, Sirkin. Thanks, that's very helpful. Patterson in goal, and then but I wouldn't complain with Ballard starting ahead of either Mefamo 9. It just depends. And then I'd say probably Job, Neil, Lafay, and then Mundle, Roberts, Mayenda. That's probably what I'd be tempted to go with.
Cool. Any differences on that, Conrad? Any changes to what Michael's just said there?
Mine's going to be a little bit of I would be sitting here now trying to get into these lads. These lads embarrassed you back in March when we played. Not only that, you were 2-0 up and cruising, and they embarrassed you back at the stadium.
That's an option you can click on Football Manager.
Yeah.
Get revenge option.
Exactly.
Yeah,
now, the reason I'm saying that is because I would put Ballard in for 09 because I want aggression on Haji Wright or whoever is there forward. We need to make an early statement, and I don't even mind if you get an early yellow card, hopefully not a red, an early yellow card, and just be a horrible team, because I think we've been probably a bit too nice recently. We never see
go all Luton on them.
Kind of like it's a bit
of
don't
go Luton. We can't get relegated now.
No, but you play like a pub team.
It's all right.
It's don't lose football. And Ballard, I think, even he gives us urgency. He's a threat from set pieces going forward as well. So I think he needs to be on. And I actually think 09's the one player that you can bring on at any point in the game and he will just fit into the game straight away. He doesn't need a few minutes to get up to speed or anything. He just gets the game. Do you know what I mean? He's a seasoned pro with it. Whereas I agree Mayenda should start, but Isidore coming off the bench is also pointless, because I feel like he starts the games and that's when he's better in them. Whereas if you think of any moment where he's come off the bench at all this season and done anything, because I can't think of one. Everything he's done has been when he's starting with the team, and of course they do play to his strengths, of course. But Mayenda, great when he starts, great when he comes off the bench. I think he's just the better one. So I'm sitting there going, I think we need to be more aggressive, because we're going to have to be. And I don't want us to go out with a whimper. If we're going to go out, I'd rather kick the shit out of them for a few games as well, and go, do you know what?
Kick them to the pieces to the point where they lose key players for the final and don't go up and we screw their season over.
Absolutely. There's a bit of me that thinks
not bitter at all. Not bitter at all.
They lost recently. There was a game recently that they lost, and Lampard and the team had an absolute Barney after the game.
The red card to Jade Silva.
Yes, that was it. They flew off the handle because they lost that game. And I'm sitting there going, their their heads go quite easily because it was a game against Luton, and obviously they were chasing the playoffs, but they've got something in this game as well. So let's be horrible. Let's wind them up and try and get it on our side rather than just sit there and go, let's play Labree's game of pass it between the centre-backs for 100 passes before we do anything. We need to be quicker getting it forward from the defence, which Ballard's good at. We need to be quicker in the midfield with those three and getting it out to the wingers, and the strikers need to be able to have their shots. It seems simple enough. It won't happen. But the other thing is, don't stand off Coventry. Get into them. I want to see 4 seconds into the game, they pass it back to their midfielder, and I want Dan Neil to snap him in two. Just an early little tempo, just
a red
to be
card,
like,
and Conrad goes up the screen going, "I didn't mean it." Like
not that hard, just a bit like.
Wait till he's got the ball at least.
just a bit of passion in it. Do you know what I mean? Just a bit of passion in it. That's all I want.
You want Gary Wackett to come on.
Yeah.
I
want Gary Wackett to knock someone out. He's only finished 3 games in his entire career, and he's punched a wall in. But I really want Gary Wackett to be playing for England. Yeah.
Attack.
I know what Conrad means though, because I think I don't know if either of you were there, but I was there for the 3-0. I think I did a stream on it. Didn't I do a video with you guys a few days after that game? I'm sure I did. So that's great. We're talking about Coventry both times, but yeah, like that occasion.
We bring you on for the good times, Michael.
Yeah,
absolutely. Well, I talked about that after we lost to Coventry. So if I'm talking before, we might win. Who knows?
Yeah,
but
who knows?
Yeah, I'm with Conrad on that. I think that we were very, very passive that day, and we just stood off them and let our bellies get tickled. And I think that, if anything, what I would do if I was Labreeze, and go, these guys humiliated you back in March. There's your motivation. Obviously, not to the point where you want to risk getting players sent off. Not like
maybe that Conrad wants. But we need aggressive and assertiveness in the game.
Yeah, exactly. Well, not like what Conrad wants Neil to do, where you snap someone and maybe risk getting sent off in 2 minutes. But yeah,
Hadji Wright, 2 foot to the head, 1 minute in.
Absolutely. What you mean? Just have him snap Hadji Wright, and then just think, right, he's not a career ender. He's just out for the rest of the playoffs. Yeah, but also, it should have been a red, but it's not a red. We've got away with the yellow, and he stays on the pitch.
Yeah, absolutely. And then don't do anything for the rest of the game.
If we ever have a Black Cats TV 5-a-side game against like a Newcastle podcast or something, they're just going to be panicking because our tactic is just kill and snap everyone.
Just raw aggression.
Right aggression. Yeah, but I mean, look, I want us to unsettle them, because like if you look at that Luton game, exactly like, and as Stephen says there, you got to get stuck into them. You've got to make sure that you're there. You're not there just to have your bellies tickled and get rolled over easily, because if you do that, they've got the players that are going to hurt you on that. You're thinking of Sakamoto, Hadji Wright, Jack Rodoni. I know a lot of our fans don't like Ellis Sims, but I think there is something with him as well, even though he's not as good as Hadji Wright. But I feel like there's a lot of players there that are very...
He got 17 goals, didn't he, last season, Ellis Sims?
Something like that.
Yeah, so it's a decent return.
Yeah. And you got to remember, we're away from home in the first leg, at a ground where we have generally tended to struggle every time. So for me, that's where these lads need to show that they're men on the pitch, as weird as it's going to sound. You need to show that you're going to be prepared, because this is going to be a battle. These 2 games are going to be an absolute battle. And I think because you can bet your bottom dollar, like Mike said before, Coventry, not obviously all Coventry fans, but I think Coventry probably don't have fond feelings towards Sunderland, so they're going to be right up for it. But if anything, use that against them and try. They're
also going to be overconfident, aren't they? With our form and against them,
you get the crowd on the back of them straight away, and you start just taking longer on your free kicks, taking longer on your throw-ins, time wasting early on, feeling like you're going to settle for a draw in the first game. And we try and hit them on the counter, which is what we were good at the start of the season, of just lightning quick counter attacks on teams.
Yeah.
And again,
like Stephen says,
just a bit of aggression, and not just being so, like the best word you used, Michael, passive, just letting them just dictate it. It's a bit of like, if they're starting to get control of the game, we need to stamp that out, whether it be a couple of heavy tackles or disrupting it through dark arts, shall we say, of time wasting. And
I'd love to be a striker
and what have you.
I'd love to be a striker playing against Sunderland at the moment, because we're the only team that gives people so much space in the box. When we get in the box, we're getting hacked to bits like it's a schoolyard football game. When they're in our box, we stand off like we're playing a Premier League team.
We don't, as we've said, we don't want the penalty anyway.
No, we definitely don't. But yeah,
Coventry are really going to be up for it. but their goalkeeper is the weak spot, says Lee. Need to leave it all on the pitch, says Coffee Goblin. And I think all of us fans know that. It's just hoping the players do that. I want to get the chat involved now. We've got 47 people in here. Make sure you hit the like button. It's really appreciated. Completely free to do. Subscribe if you're new. Make sure if you've not, which you already have, because everybody knows Michael Bowers, you go and check out Michael Bowers' channel. I will link it in the description at the end of the video as well. So make sure you go and subscribe if you're not already. It'll be the first report you see after a game stood outside a coach pissed off would be Michael Bowers. So make sure you subscribe and hit the bell. But the chat involved now, because I'm going to ask you both for predictions for both games, home and away. Chat, I want you to do the same. I'm going to put mine in the chat so you can see the format. Make sure you're taking in mind who the away team is and who the home team is for each one. So mine is there. It's a 2-2 draw at first and a 2-0 win in our league.
Like now, we're doing it.
Right? Yeah, we're going to do it now. So it's 2-2 for the first game and 2-0 for the second game is my predictions.
Right, it was. That's like.
Yeah, I'm ever the optimist, and I rarely predict a draw, as Conrad will tell you. Usually I'm going 7-0, 12-0, 23-0
I will say, out of the two of us, I think I've been the closest one each time.
We've both got one. We've both got 1 point in our league. We are shit at this, Conrad. Don't pretend.
Exactly, Johnny Cool. Sorry, I'm just putting that on there. Exactly. That's what I want. That's exactly what I want. Yeah.
Class them all.
Right, who wants to go first and who needs more thinking time while we get the
guest
chat involved?
Conrad just wants more thinking time.
Straight under the bus.
Right, go on. Yeah, I'll go first.
Go on.
Okay.
So the first game...
I'm going to say we'll lose 1-0 first leg. We'll win 2-1 second leg. And screw it, we'll go through on penalties. There you go. There you go. That is probably the bravest prediction I think anyone's going to say with our record again on penalties this season. But yeah, the way I'm looking at it is, right.
We're going to go through on penalties if their keeper dies during the second game.
Right. No. If they play Brad Collins, who apparently there's their terrible keeper, then we'll be okay because you just got to fire straight out. Even if he gets their foot to it, they'll go in.
Yeah.
Right. Okay. Do you know, being serious though, right? Look, I'd really rather we weren't playing Coventry, but at the same time, at some point, this run's going to stop. At some point, it might not feel like for another 100 years, but at some point, law of averages, this run will end, and we will beat Coventry at some stage. So my thinking is, why not now? And I'm hoping, and this is me probably being the optimist here, like I'm really hoping these players remember how important these games are. I know every game's important, but what I mean is like how like this extra level of importance attached to these games. 100%. And I'm hoping what Conrad said was actually right, that if you look at our two results this season, but if you look at particularly the game at the CBS a few months ago, that I like that from Alan. It's quite funny. But yeah, like I'm hoping we remember that game and remember, look, we are much better than we showed that day, and we're going to showcase it properly. But yeah, sorry. So quickly, lose 1-0, then win 2-1, then optimistically say win on penalties.
Wow, what a prediction! What a prediction, Conrad. You've had time.
Yeah, you've had me waffling for about a minute.
I don't see us scoring that many still. Do you know what I mean? That's still the hardest.
Head or heart. That's what you got to choose. Head or heart.
The hardest thing to think
of. This, right? Are you good at reverse psychology?
No.
Right, so just say we'll win then. Just say we'll win the whole thing.
No, I think we will get beat 2-0 down at their place is what I honestly think will happen. And people will write us off because they'll think, oh, well, they'll just come here and defend. And then I probably think we'll win 1-0 and it won't matter, but I'm going to have to... But I just don't see us scoring that many. But like...
It's like a dagger. Is that your prediction? Is that what you're doing?
I'm going to go 2-0 both games, but they'll win 2-0. We'll win 2-0.
So he's going for penalties the same as me then.
I'm not going to. We don't do points on penalties or extra time, so I'm just going to.
No, are we? You can't just put it to penalties and not say. Do you think we'll win on penalties? Michael said we think we will win on penalties.
By the way, I will point out that's literally me putting my heart over my head. I'm not confident.
Are we going to
win?
Well, if they've got this keeper in goal that you've been talking about, who clearly doesn't seem to be facing the right way on penalties, we've got every chance. But I'm sitting there going, having seen our last 5 penalties.
We must have been doing penalties at every training session for the last month. Surely.
I don't even want them to train this week.
I said that after Isidore missed 2, after Roberts missed at Sheffield United, and after
I just want us to this week,
no training,
no nothing, just an hour of penalties each day. That's it. He just brings them in, penalties only. And do you know what? He has to park their car in the goal and go, no, that's for the keepers. He's going to have to park their car and, like, I don't know, something. Did you ever hear the one about, was it Terry Venables, who with England, he went, I'm going to tell you where to put it, and the keeper will know, but you've still got to put it there, because that shows that you've got to really put it in the corner or hit it with power.
It's got to be great then, hasn't it?
Because it's got to be great to go in. We just need to do something like that. None of this sort of like, I mean, I like the idea what England do recently, where it's like you pick your spot before you go. You do not change your mind, even if the keeper's there going, it's down there, and you know it is. That's your strongest point. You go there, you pick your spot before you even get there, and you stick with it. Don't change your mind in the run up, because that's always what gets you. No, we won't win on penalties.
I'll say though, right? Here's what we do. So
we'll win in extra time.
That'd be nice. We're winning across the 2 games. But here's what I do. So say if it ends level after, well, what would it be? 100? Well, it'd be 210 minutes because of 30 minutes extra time in the second leg. So here's what we do. So if we get to that point, what we do is, right, we'll do a shootout, but can we take it from a free kick position so we'll have a free kick instead of a penalty?
Yeah.
We'll have 5 free kicks instead of 5 penalties. And then
we do MLS style penalties.
No, because Roberts will take them all and they'll go into Rosette.
Oh my God.
Let's check what the chat's saying.
Can we have Trey Hume take all 5 of them?
Yeah, he's actually
just a different wig every time.
Trey Hume, you can take all of them at the same time, but you have to go with a different. You have to strike with a different foot, go for a different angle each time.
Lee Little says he thinks 1-1. I think he means away because he's gone Sunderland home on his next one, so he's 1-1 for the first game. Stephen has gone for a 2-1 loss and then a 2-0 win, so having us go through on the second leg on a 3-2 aggregate. Lee Little's 1-0 to Sunderland at home, so that would be 2-1 aggregate there. Coffee Goblin 1-1, then 2-1 has gone for that one. Lee Little, he's confirmed it there. 2-2 first game and 2-1 to the lads the second game. A lot of people going for a draw in this first game. Is that optimism? Johnny Cool says 0-0 and then 1-0.
To be fair to the lads, we can draw away at Coventry because we've done it a couple of times. We just can't bloody win there.
Yeah, true.
Although, what a statement to go there and actually win this time. Be like, that's right, now you've got to come back to us and we've just done something we haven't done in 40 years.
Yeah, true. Stephen Martin's gone 2-0 and 3-0. Stephen Martin losing 2-0.
I could take that.
That's 2-0 to them, right?
Yeah, 2-0 to them, so that'll be 3-2 on aggregate.
Because it was like 5-0 on aggregate. I thought it was you.
0-0, 1-0. Leo Yelder with the extra time winner.
What the most random goal scorer prediction.
Wow.
Love it.
You get 3 points if that comes in. Who would you want to score the winning penalty, says Coffee Goblin? Isidore.
Isidore all day for me.
Yeah, just to
After
get
the
rid of that
shenanigans, Isidore.
Yeah,
but I also would
want to, not expect to.
Watch him walking up to take the 5th one. I would be absolutely on the floor, like keeled over, like no, don't do it, don't do it, Wilson.
So what if it's say we get through then, and then say we play Sheffield United in the final, and it comes down to a penalty shootout, and say Sheffield United take the penalties first, we take them second, they've missed one, they score the other 3, we score 4 of them, and then we get the last penalty. If Isidore's stepping up, he scores, we're promoted.
Oh, no. That would
literally be like, that'd be the most heart in your mouth moment ever, wouldn't it?
Well, I think 09 will probably end up taking the 5th one because he's the 2 penalty shootouts he's taken for us before, not including his penalty in the other game, was he went 5th in the Checkatrade final against Portsmouth, which was if he missed, we'd have lost, and he sent the keeper the wrong way and slotted it in. And he did one against, I can't remember the team, but it was the semi-final of the Checkatrade where we got to the final, where we beat a team on penalties, and he took one in where the keeper got hands to it, but the power took it
Lincoln,
in.
you're on about,
yeah, Lincoln, yeah. So it's, we've done it. He's done it as well. So I think it's just Trey Hume has to be stepping up first, and Job has to. I don't know why Job hasn't taken one so far. If I'm being honest, for me, that's a big worry. Not a worry, but the sort of caliber of player that he is.
Yeah.
And you think the way he carries himself in the game, striding up for a penalty, should be no harm whatsoever.
Yeah, let's hope penalties never come into it. I'm conscious of the time, so I'm going to press on. I've got one more thing. I've got one more thing, and then we've got a couple of questions. If you need to shoot off, Michael, at any point, feel free.
I've literally got no plan, so I'm all right.
Excellent, that's good. So let's say most of these predictions, apart from Conrad's, come in, and we're through to the final, right?
I said we'll win in extra time.
No, you didn't. You already said we'd lose on penalties.
I said we won't win on penalties.
Yeah, you can't say we'll lose
win
on
in extra time.
Crap. Anyway, Sheffield United or Bristol? 2 questions, so I'll let you answer both in your own time.
Can I guess what your questions are? Is it who you want to get through and who you think will get through?
100%. There you go, Michael. You can answer now. You've asked them.
Right. So now I've just guessed that right. Sunderland are winning the playoffs this season.
Yeah.
All right. So who do I want to get through? Well, they're 2 different answers. It depends if we don't get through. It doesn't matter. But assuming we do, then I'd want Bristol City to get through. But I think Sheffield United will have enough. I wouldn't be surprised if Sheffield United lost the first leg, but will do enough at home to overturn it and get through. So I want Bristol City, but think Sheffield United will.
I think Bristol City will get through, but I would want Sheffield United because in the 2 games we've played Bristol City, admittedly we've had a red card in one of them. I think they've been a lot stronger than we give them credit for, especially in holding us off, especially in that game at the Stadium of Light, actually, where actually in the 2 games we've played Sheffield United, I thought they were shit, both of them. And if it wasn't for a dodgy penalty miss and then we just sort of took our foot off the gas and let them get a last minute.
We were robbed of at least a point down there.
We were robbed in that game. And then when we had them in our place, we should have won by more than 2-1.
I agree.
We're far better than them. So I have a feeling that we're not giving Bristol City enough credit for the 2 games. Admittedly, it's hard to tell when you have a man less, of course, but still a good reaction from them to come from 1 goal down to be winning it and going until the end in the second game. But that first game, when they came to our place, I didn't think we were going to score, and we had to turn to one of our sort of semi-reserve players in Ashish to do anything to get anything back in the game for Robert. So I think Bristol City will get past them because also Sheffield United are on a bit of a shit run. I would rather play Sheffield United.
Is Coventry the hardest team in these playoffs, though? If we get past Coventry, should it be a cakewalk?
If we get past, no cakewalk in the final.
No, I was going to say cakewalk.
If we get past Coventry, I think we've beaten the hardest team that's in there in a one-off game. And not meaning that we've played them in a one-off game, if you get me. If we were to play any of them in the final, Coventry would be the hardest one, especially because they've had recent times there as well with a playoff final themselves and an FA Cup semi-final, which they were robbed of. So I think we've got the hardest one. But if you're going to go up, you've got to play the best teams, really, haven't you?
Ultimately, if we want to get promoted, we're going to have to beat 2 of the teams in the playoffs, aren't we, to do it?
Yeah, exactly. So you may as well play the better one now and test yourself out, because if we can't beat Coventry and we can't beat whoever else we get in the final potentially, we definitely don't deserve to be in the Premier League, which sounds really obvious, but also I don't think we'd survive in the Premier League.
The thing I'd ask Conrad in particular is, say Sunderland and Sheffield United get through. I'm pretty confident Sheffield United will get through, actually, but I'm not as confident, obviously, with us. But if, say, it was Sheffield United Sunderland in the final, do you think we do it? Yeah, I think if we got to the final, I remember I don't know what you think about this either, Mike, but I felt like when we dropped out of the automatic promotion race, if it was, and I appreciate we might get knocked out by Coventry, this might be immaterial, but say we got through, if it was against the team that happened to finish 3rd, I'm really glad it's Sheffield United and not Leeds or Burnley. Because
I was
saying that for weeks. I do not want Burnley anywhere near the playoffs. I was so happy when they kicked on. Leeds, just because I think they're better than us, and like you said in that other game, look at their bench. They were bringing off absolute
Their
stars for
quality's
the
just a
Premier
different
League, and it
level
was
to
just
nearly everyone else in the league.
they could just kick it into another gear that we couldn't. So I was like, those two are the best. I'd rather Leeds than Burnley in the final, because I think Leeds tend to shit the bed at some point.
The pressure would have been massive on Leeds.
Yeah, so I'd rather Leeds than Burnley, but I think it was an absolute blessing that Sheffield United have stumbled, because, no offence to them, and I hope this doesn't come back to bite me in the ass, they were shit the 2 times we've played them. They were.
I can promise you
shit.
as well that I've watched Sheffield United probably a dozen more games apart from the 2 against us. They were good when they beat Coventry at home. I think it was just after the international break, in the March international break. They were good then, but nearly every other time they've won, it's been a case of the opposition dominate large parts of the game. They miss good chances. Sheffield United basically score a tap in from a yard, and then they end up seeing out the game 1-0. They're literally like, I think that they. Oh, yeah, Coffee Goblin, that would be absolutely hilarious. I really don't
need that in my life. I'd just be drinking that all summer. Like,
so I would say I absolutely love that, but it probably won't happen because I feel like I can't have nice things. So, I'm just like, no, it's not going to happen, is it?
I also want Labrie to get a bit of revenge on Wilder, because when we played them at their place, Wilder seemed to kick off at him because he was talking to the 4th official when he shook his hands at the end of the game, and sort of he mouthed off at Labrie saying like, fuck off, something or other.
Yeah,
and then at our
just
place, we beat them, and he sort of was like straight off down the tunnel after he did his handshake, and I'm sitting there going, as we've all realised this season, he is a massive prick. So I would just love Labrie to just like turn around like he's going to go to handshake him, then give it the old DX, suck it, and like celebrate in front of the sun.
I don't think Labrie's a fan of 90s wrestling.
Can you imagine the moment though? Like the cameras do that thing where they cut to him.
On Twitter, there's a Sheffield Wednesday fan I message quite regularly, and we talk back and forth. Apparently, I think he gets married the day of the playoff final, apparently. And he was saying that he would love it if we both got there and Sunderland beat Sheffield United in the playoff final at Wembley.
It's a wedding present.
Kind of, yeah. Just go. Hang on a second, love. Sorry, let me just check this. Get it, Sunderland's beating the pigs.
This is now the best day of my life. It wasn't before, but it is now.
But yeah, I mean, like, look, don't get me wrong. I'm not dismissing that Sheffield United obviously have some good players. I rate, what's his name? Gustavo Hamer. I rate him quite a bit. I like Raksaki. I like Tyrese Campbell's obviously done really well. I was one of the people that wanted us to sign Tom Cannon. I suppose look how that's gone so far. Berrington Diaz is obviously a very good player at this level. There are some good players that they do have, but I think a lot of them are, when I've watched them, they're kind of individuals who can do something rather than a straightforward plan as a team. So if, say, for example,
Callum O'Hare as well.
Callum O'Hare, yeah, there's another one. Yeah, I mean, like, if you look at Leeds, for example, I don't know if either of you watched much of Leeds apart from against us. They suffocate teams. They press. They're very, very, very hard to get the ball off. They wear the opposition down. There's a clear structure there. Burnley, basically clean sheet FC. You're basically just pretty solid defensively, but they have started to improve in the second half of the season in terms of scoring goals. So that's in a good balance. There's always been a structure there. Whereas I feel like, I know Sheffield United finished on, 90 points, but I think that points tally flatters them by at least about 10 points.
With a point deduction still on that as well.
It'd be 92 if their owner knew how to do maths.
Well, I suppose they've had 2 points per game over the whole season, haven't they? Yeah. So I mean, but again, we've got to get past Coventry first, haven't we? We've got to make sure we sort of do our bit. But at the end of the day, like I said, we've got to beat Coventry at some point. So the players, I'm hoping, will have the mindset of, right, come on, this is the chance to do it.
This is it. Right, let's go to the questions then. Some of them we might not need to answer, we might have already answered. I've just been styling them as we go along. We'll try and quick fire them. Nothing ends up quick fire, but we'll try. Stephen Cuthbertson, just one thing I read, are all loans deals only ran till the end of the season? If that's the case, who would you take over loanees we would lose for playoffs? The loanees carry on for the playoffs, right?
Yeah, I was going to say, we'll have Mepham and Lafay for the playoffs. Well, unless they're injured.
Yeah.
I'd take Mepham again. I don't think we'd get Enzo again, but I would happily have them both back.
Do you think we're going to get this Liverpool lad for next season that's not played a single game this season? We must have, right? There must be something.
If we're still in the Championship, I think we would.
Yeah.
I think we'd want better in the Prem.
Yeah, definitely.
As in someone I should say someone who's more ready, I should say.
Yeah, of course. Yeah. Coffee Goblin, can we bring in Mowbray as a coach just for the playoffs? He did all right today, didn't he?
Mm.
David Brown.
What did he do today, Mowbray?
I was going to say he got sacked a couple of
He
weeks
got
ago.
sacked weeks ago.
Yeah, all right. Okay.
Was he did well at home, having his tea. Like,
Shows what
Listen,
Mike knows.
I don't follow the rest of the teams.
He's
It's
been
all right.
sacked like a week ago or 2 weeks ago. Like, yeah.
Well, there you go. He's available. Forest went up and virtually purchased a new squad. We are facing a similar choice to stay up. Yeah. Are we facing a similar choice to stay up? I think we've got a lot of players in this team that are Premier League quality, because that's why we've got so many Premier League teams chomping at the bits to buy some of our players. So how much do you think we'd need to buy new?
Well, first of all, hopefully this is a conversation we're having in the summer.
Hopefully, yes.
That's what we want. But yeah, sorry, Conrad, go on.
I was going to say out of the starting, can you put the starting lineup on today again, just quickly? Out of that lot, obviously, I'm going to pretend that Lefay stays because we have to buy him if we go up.
Yeah, it's an obligation.
I would say we need, in that lineup, 5, maybe 6.
5, maybe 6 new
Is that
players.
Just for the starting 11, Conrad?
Yeah.
Right, okay.
Yeah.
If you're asking me, I would say we'd need a new keeper, I think, if we went up. I think Human Cirkin could do it. I think it depends on... But the caveat is with a lot of these players. Well, the thing is, with a lot of these players, we don't know until we see them in the Premier League. If we go up, only then you'll know how they can do it. I think you've got to be a bit ruthless. I think you'd need. I like Isidore. I'm not sure he'd be Prem level, at least not at the moment. Mayenda, I think in time could and will be, but right now I don't think would be. I don't think I'd be fair to expect him that of.
You'd want an experienced striker.
I wouldn't mind one.
Yeah.
I'd say goalkeeper, right winger, striker. Because I like Roberts, but I don't think he's good enough for the Premier League.
We need a 6.
Yeah, I'd agree. I think someone with a real... I'm in the minority that I like Dan Neil as a 6, personally. But I would like someone who's a bit more experienced. Dare I say, as much as the Saudi things happened, Jordan Henderson, someone like that. That's the sort of...
game manager. Someone who manages the games better.
I like Dan Neil in a 6 in League 2.
We had him in League 1. It's only a level above, it's fine. But I think I'd probably agree with Conrad. I think you need at least 4 or 5 for the starting 11, and there's no getting away from the fact, again, while it is the conversation I want to have, and we all want to have this summer, because it means we've won the playoffs, but I think you'd need to be quite ruthless here, because there'll be other, like, you look at some of the players for the teams that have gone up over the last couple of seasons, like last season, for example, you look at, say, it went up, right? So say Leicester, for instance. Leicester won I know it was like 1 point in the end, but they won the league at a canter. Massively struggled this season. But I'd like to think our recruitment would be a bit better or a bit smarter than what a lot of the clubs... If you look at the clubs that went up last year, Ipswich went, who's mint from the Championship, and signed them. Leicester basically went... Well, their structure behind the scenes was a mess. Southampton, same thing, was a mess. I wouldn't be surprised if we did go up, that a lot of our signings come from abroad as well, because that's where the value of the market is, which I've got no problem with, as long as they're going to adapt well to the Premier League. But obviously, if we don't go up, then it's a different conversation, because we're going to lose a few players, aren't we?
David Brown's follow-up is Lafay's wages are spotted as, I think he meant 75,000, not 750,000 a week.
That's mental.
But even if it is 75,000 a week, are we going to be able to afford any more players?
They haven't spent a lot of that money, don't forget, that we've been getting in. And also don't forget Watson's money still to come in. And
the only thing I'd say when you say they haven't spent a lot of the money, if you look, are you referring to the Jack Clark deal?
Jack Clark, Ross Stewart, Watson.
To be fair, I will disagree with Conrad there. I think we have spent the money. It's not in a way that fans would say, like, for example, this season, what did we get? Was it initial 15 million, I think, wasn't it? Initially.
For who, sorry? For Clark?
Clark, sorry.
Yes, sorry, Clark, 15. Yeah.
But you got to remember, 25% of that goes to Tottenham straight away. So you only get really about 11. And you bear in mind, we've spent, what is it? I think Alexic and Abdullahi, I'm sure I read this right, cost around £5 million altogether. Isidore cost about 3.3 million.
Yeah.
Lafay's loan, Meffam's loan, as much, it might not seem like it, but these things do add up. And, and if you look at last summer with Stewart, we got like 10 million for him. We got like $1 million for Gooch, but you bear in mind you had Job for up to 3, you had Mundell for 2, Yelder. Okay, Yelder. You got Yelder for like, what was it, 1.5?
1.5 or 2.
Yeah, you got something like Sealed for like 1.7, whatever it was. Triantnis was like nearly 500,000.
Yeah, you fair points. Yeah,
My worry is we go up and we cash in on some of the kids that we've got now, like Job and Rig, where we're seeing offers and stuff like that on the table. Even if we go up to the Premier League, we cash in on players like that. Yes, we'd love them to spend it on someone experienced, but then they start bringing the youth in and carry on with the model, even in the Premier League. That's my worry. I'm not saying that's what's going to happen. That's my worry.
No, but I would be concerned if we did that, because in the Championship, you probably get away with it a bit more because the quality isn't as good. But in the Premier League, you'd get eaten alive. Like, I mean, there's a good chance that happens anyway, but we would definitely get eaten alive if we went down that sort of route. If we went and said, if we say Chris Rigg, for example, say we went up and sold Chris Rigg, then you'd need to spend that. Even if you had Job as a 10, or if you had someone else you could bring in as a 10, or whatever else it is, you need someone experienced in the pivot of the midfield or in a box-to-box role, whatever it is. You need some like experience quality in there, because ultimately what I want is, and I'm sure you two agree, and I'm sure a lot of Sunderland fans agree, I want to become established in the Premier League again. And in order to do that, if we're going up, we're probably going to have to be ruthless, unfortunately. But if you make a big sale, you better be bloody prepared to spend it then.
They have been, if you think of the likes of, and I'm going back a little bit, and it's not quite on the same level, but Danny Barth, Pritchard, Gooch.
Yeah, true.
We weren't nice about how we just sort of went, that's it now. You're too old. We're not re-signing you. Or actually, thanks for your time, Gooch, but off you go. You know, and even Stuart was a clever one, because I think they spotted that injury crisis and sort of went like, we're getting 10 million now. It doesn't, obviously at the time we were all like, that's not nearly enough for Ross Stewart. He's amazing. But then he's played 4 games in 2 years for them.
Yeah, I remember at the time we sold him, he'd only played something like 10 games.
He played 13 games for us and got 10 goals in the Championship, which was fantastic. And obviously was a big reason we got to the playoffs as well, that he did play. But we cashed in at the right moment on that one, it seems like.
That's what you say on the Ross Stewart thing, though. The thing I always maintain is, how on earth in the season we went up from League One did he not get injured once?
Yeah.
I
know.
That is one of the most baffling things.
And then he got a minor injury at Middlesbrough and was out for like 4 months. Came back, played 13 games, scored 10, and then was out, obviously, with a terrible.
Well, I think once they get that first injury, it seems to be constant.
To be honest, well, maybe it's a good job. Russell Martin seemed to be in love with him and wanted to pay that much on him. So, but that comes back to the point. Like, this is where a lot, and like Mike knows, I said this to him 18 months ago, that this is where, unfortunately, selling is a big part of, not just us, by the way, across the Championship. If you're not in the Premier League, you're susceptible to that. But this is another reason for me why we need to go up if we can this season, because if you don't go up, you're probably losing Job, you're losing Rig, you're losing at least one of them.
There's going to be a lot more issues to deal with if we don't go up than if we do. I'd rather have the problems of going up than the problems of losing everyone and
just
staying
when we
in
get
the league.
120 million, But I take your point. If you look, for example, like just compared to another team that just stayed up today on goal difference, Hull. Look at how Hull basically, and I know it's a different scenario where they had a couple of really expensive loans, but Hull went for it last year, finished 7th, missed out, lost these players, and if it weren't for Luton bottling it, basically, they would have gone down.
Yeah,
so
that's the scary thing.
Yeah, that's the thing that would concern me massively. I don't think that would happen to us, because I think we'd be building from a stronger base than Hull are, depending on how many we lose, of course.
To be honest, what gives me optimism with that bit, Michael, is we've seen Jones and Anderson have some game time. We see that good players are still coming through the youth, and I think both of them look really good. And we have got, no matter what happens, if we stay in this league, we're still always going to have a couple of quality players coming through from the youth setup, and hopefully be able to complement that with a few good signings.
Yeah, without losing the quality of too much quality from the players you've sold. Yeah, exactly. So I don't think it would happen with us to an extent with Hull. My concern would be, if we didn't go up, is the amount of turnover we'd have to do in a window. So while I accept that you're going to lose a couple of your assets, because that's just realistic, I don't want to lose so many of them when you have to replace half a new starting 11, if that makes sense. You have to replace half of a starting 11. So if, say, for example, obviously we're getting 10 million from Watson anyway, aren't we? So if you're talking about, say you lose Watson and Job, for instance, in the summer, and say you lost Rig, let's say you lose 2 of Job, Neil and Rig. That makes sense. Job, Neil and Rig, you lose 2 of them 3 in addition to Watson. Then for me, you've got to say, then for me, you've got to say, then you need to keep everyone else for me, and then sort of build something from there. What's this about Job going to Dortmund, apparently?
My cousin, who I was with today, her dad is mates with an ex-linesman referee, and he's mates with Job's. I feel like Spaceballs here. His uncle's best friend's best friend.
Her dad is mates with an ex-linesman referee, and so an ex-ref, basically. He's mates with Job's dad. I got told today Job is signed for Dortmund. Is that a pre-contract agreement thing then? I don't know.
It just feels too much like Spaceballs. Best friends, uncles, roommates, cousins, dog, washer.
I mean, my cousins, dogs, mates, cats, best friends, owners, linesmen's refs. Best friend is all over.
But I was looking at my cousin today, like I was just going to wait till the club actually announces.
I was going to say a lot of rumors come through and end up not. I'm not saying in case she's making stuff up, but like, I don't think it's going to be. I think a lot of people make stuff up.
Job said at the awards the other night he's looking forward to the next season for whoever he plays for next.
But if you're being honest, if say we don't go up though, I don't think many people, and I certainly don't begrudge Joe Bellingham moving on.
No, you can't. You can't. The fact we've kept them for a season, they've had the interest they've had, and we staved off through the January window, is credit to the players for staying and credit for the backroom staff for managing to keep them. So if they go at the end of the season because we don't get promoted, I for one definitely won't begrudge them. Let's get the other questions in. We've only got 2 here. So main question is, where are all these so-called war chests we were promised as well? Down to money again, I guess. I'll caveat this because it's not really a question that because we don't really know, right? But I'll caveat this with the conspiracy theories that are coming through that the regime doesn't want us to go up, and that's why our form's been bad. What do you think about that? Because a few people have said that now to me, Michael.
I don't personally agree with it, but I think it's. Put it this way: if we didn't want to go up, we would. I mean, look, don't get me wrong. I'm not going to contradict myself. I said I wanted a bit more from him, but like. We wouldn't have signed. We wouldn't have signed Lafay in January if that was the case. We wouldn't have signed Lafay. We would. I mean, granted, we didn't sign much in January anyway. We only signed Lafay pretty much really because we signed Jaden Danson. He's injured for the whole season, which is just classic Sunderland really. But like, I just think you don't with Lafay, and I know it's one player, but he would have cost a lot of money in terms of a loan fee, in terms of wages. Like his wages apparently are way higher than anyone else in the squad. Why would you go for him then if you weren't wanting to go up?
I tend to agree with that. Yeah,
but I mean, the big thing for me would be if we didn't go up this season and we got all the money from say Job or Neil or Job and Rig or Neil and Rig or whoever it is, then the big question would be what would we do with that? Because you're then good because this is the first summer. This will be the first summer if we don't go up where we're probably going to have more than one player be sold in one go, as in like a key player.
Yeah, we can't be doing this lastminute.com, just grab who's available. We need to be signing from
that would be preferable, yeah. But this is where you're gonna have to see what you're made of there. I'd like to think personally what we should be expecting now in the championship while we're here is to be playoffs every single season at least until we eventually get promoted. Because we're now at the point where although we're not going to have as much as say the teams coming down from the Premier League, because of the money you're going to be making from the player sales, we should, or at least theoretically anyway, we should be able to reinvest enough of that to sign the quality to have us regularly in the playoffs. We should, out of every team that doesn't have parachute payments, I think we should be the best placed out of every one of them, personally. But maybe I'm looking too much into it.
Yeah.
No owner doesn't want to get promoted. It's way more money for the club in every possible way, and even more money for the players who are fringe players that you get to sell as well. So no owner will be sitting there going, we don't want to go up. I can understand them being cautious about not going up and just then going mad and spending all the money that you've got to try and stay up there. They'll be very cautious and clever, as they have been throughout this entire time. They never go out and go, we got 10 million for Stuart, right? 10 million on a bang average championship striker for us. They're very carefully picking these targets. So no owner won't want to go up, because even if we went up and we did a Leeds or a Leicester, an Ipswich or a Leicester, like I said,
you're coming back with a load of money on you.
You're coming back with a load of money to reinvest into the team, and then you can like you say, then you go, right, Bellingham's gone, Riggs gone, right, but we've got a bit more money. Let's invest again and have another go.
We could go up stronger, each time, sort of thing.
The thing for me, like I said, I think it's
Fulham did it for years, up, down, up, down, up, down, and now look at them after they caught all that money.
Absolutely, just it's a world of dreams, up, down all the time. But and I get the point you're making. But for me, the question I ask these people is, well, what would you want the club to do? Do you want them to go out and just go, well, hell for leather, just go and spend anyway? But what if that doesn't work? For every Ipswich, there's a Hull, and Hull nearly got relegated because it didn't work last year.
Exactly.
Well, look at us when we did go and spend all that money, all those years. We were fighting relegation no matter how much money we were spending and chopping and changing managers, all sorts. And then when he went, do you know what? I'm not spending any more money on you. What did we do? We fell like an absolute rock through 2 divisions.
Yeah,
right? Because of mismanagement and mismanagement of money. All those players that we could barely afford. And then I know we don't really
deals we were still paying for years later.
Alvarez.
I mean, don't get me wrong. There's a balance you have to strike of spunking too much money to the point where you're wasting it, but not spending it all. There has to be a good.
There's one good point of Charlie Medfin's involvement in Sunderland, which was people don't take the piss out of us anymore when it comes to finances.
What was the quote? What was the quote? The piss take party's over.
The piss take party stops now.
Well, eventually, it did, like 6 years after he was here.
But exactly. But even someone like. Donald was daft with the Grigg money in the end, but we would have all made that error in January trying to get a proven League One goal scorer when Madger was off. Maybe the only thing different, we wouldn't have
worked for us.
I respect what he did. I actually respect what he did.
We might have said to Madger, actually, stay here for the season and we'll let you go on a free in the summer. That's probably a better outcome than what we did. Yeah. But that's with hindsight now. Like,
would you rather have that with the Grigg situation, and we'd have done that with Kiefer Moore instead of just going, nope, that's our limit.
We tried to sign Kiefer Moore back then in League One, actually.
That would have been all right, wouldn't it?
Yeah, but we should have done the Grigg thing and just gone for it.
If you're referring to the Kiefer Moore thing last January, I understood last January why Sunderland didn't go all out for Kiefer Moore, because from what I remember, his wages were something like 40 grand a week, and I'm sure Ipswich were paying 3/4 of that. So I know we're paying for Lafay now, obviously, but like last season, we would have been paying 30 grand a week for Kiefer Moore, which over the course of 6 months, it was something like $1.5 million you'd be paying. Bear in mind, if we got into let's say you sign Kiefer Moore, say you finish 6th, are you beating Leeds over 2 legs? Are you beating Southampton over 2 legs?
No.
So, and I know we could have done. We took points off them in the league, but just because you took 4 points off them in the league doesn't mean you're going to beat them in the playoffs. So I understood that they would have thought, right, it sounds like giving up on the season. I can't get a way around that. But either way, it's for me. I thought
they very much did. I think they very much did give up on last season, and they were already planning for the season after, and they put Dodds in to just say basically, don't fall out the division. And we're all right.
Get enough points to sort of tread water.
Yeah, keep us up. And that's it. Which, to be honest, in February, when Beale had gone, or January, whenever it was, we were all sitting there going, well, we can't get relegated. It's fine. And then as it got into April, we were like, shit, we actually could. But we managed to win like one more game just to sort of go, actually, we're fine.
Are you telling me you didn't want to play Cheltenham Town in the league again?
No, that was the worst 4 years of my life.
You're right, though. Like, at the end of the day, I'd rather, and this is why whenever I try to defend the model, again, I know people are sick of that word, but whenever I try to defend it, I always go, well, I try to think beyond just the next 2 months. I try to look at what we're trying to see the bigger picture of it. So although the end of last season was last month's been terrible, but compared to last season, it's definitely been nowhere near as bad as the end of last season was. I try to think, right, this season we probably weren't going to go up. And I thought, right, next season's a much better chance, and I'd rather you save the money for then when we have a better opportunity to go up. And there is still a chance we do it this season. As much as bad as the last 5 games results have been in particular, there is still a chance we do it. So, but again, it's all about the pick and choose when to go up. I would say that I think if we don't go up this season, it would be a missed opportunity for me, because I think next season will be tougher.
Yeah. It will, completely.
Massively. Lee Little says, I will say, though, if we did go up, I think the chairman will leave, as I think it will be too much for him.
I would not be surprised if that was true.
How? I mean, what's the thinking behind that?
There's nothing. It's just a gut feeling. I think that they would be... I think with KLD, it seems to me, and again, I'm not privy to his personal circumstances. I don't know how much of his inheritance from his dad, I think.
His mum has
controls. I don't know how much of that he would have access to. I don't know if he would be able to help fund to a level that we would have to be in order to be competitive in the Premier League. I would love to be proven wrong if he did.
The idea, though, is that we're self-sufficient. That's what they wanted when we came in. When they came in, sorry, is that we are a self-sufficient football club, and even with Donald still involved, I know, and I think that is still the goal, that we don't have to rely on outside owners' input.
Yeah, absolutely.
That we can.
No, I totally get that. I think it's just because you've got to remember, if we go up, say we go up and we got an extra 100. Well, you don't get that till the end of the season, I don't think. But if you got 100 million for being in the Prem, the problem you've got though is what goes up massively as well. Wages. The wage bill will go up exponentially higher.
Our wage bills, until we got Lafay, our wage bill was one of the lowest going. We're stealing players.
Well, this is the thing I don't get though with people like who have a go at Speakman or Harvey or whoever else it is, but so surely people should be praising the job we've done if our wage bill is much lower. If we don't spend money, then surely the money we have spent's been spent well then, because we're fourth in the league. So that to me doesn't. But again,
I critiqued them a lot, and I have faith now. To be fair, as far as owners go,
but when you made the criticisms, they were valid ones. They were. There was lots of problems last season, Michael Beale. But yeah, there were issues where I'm never going to.
Don't swear. You said you wouldn't swear.
That's pretty true. Well, it could be worse. I could say Saudi Arabia, but we'll not go there. But yeah, but it comes back to the point, doesn't it? I just think we are. This is where I think. I'll ask you then quickly. What do you two think about next season? If say we're in the Championship again, what would your expectation be next year?
I'd be going playoffs again because I think we sell a few players.
I think 6th at minimum is what I'd be wanting next season. That'd be nice. Yeah. If we're in the league with 100 points, it's fine.
I think Job would definitely go. Rig is arguably one you may keep, but if you get a ridiculous offer in for him.
They're not going to say no. I think we've got enough talent coming through. I think we'll have enough money if Job and Rig go to be able to invest where we need to invest. I think we could compete for the automatics next season. The biggest thing is going to be the teams that are coming down. Obviously, they're always going to be the biggest competitors, so that's going to be the difficult one. But something I'm of the feeling, right? There's something broken at Sunderland with the form we've on and stuff like that. The fact when Dodds left, kind of form dipped there. You can't say it was all Dodds and stuff like that. But I think fundamentally, something's wrong with the coaching staff. We develop amazing young players, and then there's just something wrong with our coaching staff at our senior level, where we're not quite getting the best out of some amazing talent, or there's no inspiration in the dressing room. There's something wrong. Can I just
say that Dodds also took down Wickham, who was second when he took over, and they finished 5th, floundering. And the only reason they didn't fall out the playoffs is because the others were that far behind him.
Yeah, I know, I get that, and I don't think he's a manager.
I don't think he's.
You don't have to. Yeah, exactly.
He's a massive number 2.
Yeah, exactly. He could be that motivational speaker in the dressing room, but he's not tactically minded. I don't know what it is. We seem to have kept this backroom staff. He just had a good rapport
with a lot of players, didn't he?
How have we still got the same striking coach from Beale to Mowbray to Beale to now with Labrie? How have we still got, and we can't fucking shoot? I'm sorry to swear. Something is broken in the back room.
I do think you have a point about Dodds, because I think I agree with you both that he's definitely not a head coach. I think that's kind of been, certainly with us it was proven, and with Wickham he's obviously gone from 2nd to 5th. So but I also think that there was clearly some level of value that he had behind the scenes. I think there was clearly something behind the scenes as a coach that I think he did something. I mean, well, who knows? Maybe you want Wickham to not go up, then he gets sacked and then comes back as behind the scenes coach. Who knows?
No, but I don't want any of them. I don't want any of them. Let's clean house.
I'll get rid of Michael Proctor, get Dodds back. It's fine. Yeah. Get a striking coach. Get Kevin Phillips in as head striking coach. That's it.
I'd have Arker in.
Well, yeah, true. So I looked at the chance even today with the efforts we had, and I'm just thinking, and we were literally going back, sideways, back on the bottom, like shoot, like go for it. And I'm someone who doesn't like us just shooting outside the box for the hell of it, because more times than not it ends up in Rosette. it basically more times than not we try our best to imitate max power against Lincoln than having a shot on target from distance.
Well, shots have been crap when Roberts has got it and you're shouting shoot, because we know he can't this season. So if you're shouting shoot and
because
Roberts,
we don't see many shots, we're like, right, we're desperate for anyone just to have a goal at this point.
Yeah, on kickoff, shoot. I think we'll have to end it there. I thought we'd be an hour. We've been an hour and a half. Defoe would have been better. Lee Little, there you go. One last dance. Let's get him in.
just remember, who was it who put that comment about Defoe?
Lee Little.
Oh, okay, Lee. Remember, check for the parent store.
Yeah.
Right. That's about it. Before we go, Michael Bowers, can you tell the 51 people in here about your channel, just in case they don't know you, which is very unlikely, and why they should go over and check out your channel?
Okay. I am obviously Sunderland YouTuber. I waffle about clean sheets quite a lot, to the point where people are I'm probably gonna be a meme, which would be quite funny. I'm not gonna lie. But yeah, I think I'm on something like, if you do me a minute, I'll be able to say how many subs I'm on. Just sound big.
More than us.
Well, yeah, I've been on a lot longer than used, to be fair. I think it's like 5.77 subscribers. So, so I'm trying to get to 6,000. I mean, hopefully a promotion in a few weeks will help that.
5.77, Michael.
Yeah, 5 points. Yeah, there we go. Thank you very much. But so no, I've just do reviews after games. I just give me thoughts. More times than not, it's just waffling. But yeah, if you could sub, that would be absolutely fantastic. And obviously sub to this channel as well.
Yeah, thank you very much. Conrad, would you like to say goodbye to our lovely viewers?
Yeah, thanks for joining us. It's been a long one. It's our longest live, probably, apart from maybe the transfer window deadline that we did right after Middlesbrough game. I think it was earlier on.
Hopefully, you're doing a really long one in 3 weeks, which is a promotion.
Yeah, exactly. So I think just keep an eye out on the channel. I think Mike's got a good video coming up potentially with a Coventry fan where we talk a bit more about Coventry. There might be a very
I'm sick of talking to Coventry fans.
Previews of Coventry, yeah, and then potentially a very quick sort of reminder shorts as well for us as well, just before the Coventry game. There'll probably be a live stream on Friday, Mike. Do you reckon we could both be there? Oh, I can't actually. I'm out. I actually can't be there that Friday.
I'll be there. I'll be doing it.
You'll be there. So just like, subscribe, all that wonderful stuff. Subscribe to Michael, and we'll see you next time.
Michael, do you want to say goodbye to everyone?
Thanks very much. Take care, everyone who's watching. Thank you for doing so.
Yep. And from me, thanks very much. They've already said everything. So like, subscribe, leave a comment, all that wonderful stuff. And we'll see you all in another video really soon. Goodbye.